Director of Office, has been leading the charge on making workspaces more flexible, functional, and frankly, future ready. With degrees in architecture from Kansas State, Cornell, and 2 decades of experience in real estate and workplace solutions, Amit brings both depth and daring to how we think about where work happens. Today, he is here to talk about something bigger than just real estate. He is here to talk about how you are redesigning work itself, the space, the worker, and the work as one connected system. Please join me in welcoming Amit Ramani to the stage.
Thank you, Nitin, for such a great introduction. And it's great to see so many people right after lunch, I think. I think we are sitting in a very, very interesting space right now. I think today, if I was to talk about AI, I think everybody knows about it. I think it's gone from the boardroom to the break room. Everybody uses it in some format or the other, some to write emails, some to do complex tasks. But I think the reality of AI is here. And I think in the very near future, AI will become part and parcel of the workspace that we occupy today. And I think as we transform, I think clearly the movement of AI will transform how we work and how we interact with the workspace as well. Can you just see? This doesn't seem to be working. This goes forward, right? Sorry, guys. So anyway, I think as we talk about the workspace, I think clearly today as we look at AI, I think the reality that will happen is that most of us will start interacting with AI agents, could be chatbots. Yeah, so I think as we speak about AI, I think AI and integration of AI into the workspace will become as essential as the integration of Wi-Fi that has happened. And I think as we speak, the AI revolution is going to transform the workspace in meaningful ways. I think the way we at least think about it is that we have to move away from the physical workspace to thinking about as an experiential workspace. Because I think the dimensions of work, the regular process-oriented work are going to change dramatically because a lot of those mundane tasks that we all end up doing, I think are going to be done by AI agents, right? And as you do complex tasks, I think the level of workspace and the maturity, the agility and the culture will become the 3 cornerstones of how you think and design the workspace. We believe that culture will become the most meaningful platform on what you would build your workplace on, right? I think the cultural continuum will allow humans and bots or AI agents to co-create as we go forward. But I think culture will become even more meaningful in the future because as you drive your companies, a lot of the innovation will happen through AI, but I think the culture will tie the organization together and kind of move it forward. If we really look at it, there have been 3 parts to the overall workplace evolution, right? There was the pre-COVID era, where it was people, process, and you were asked to do your productive work. It was very democratized in the sense of you had to come. There was not a lot of choice given, but you were asked to come to work every day. Then hybrid era hit post-COVID, and now we talk about me, we, us spaces. All of these have become prevalent. We had a discussion yesterday on human-centered design and how humans have become at the core of it. I think we are fast moving into an AI-first era. And the AI-first era, machines, robots, people will coexist. I was at Cornell recently, and they have already built what's called an autonomous room. And what that autonomous room does is that it adapts to your requirements. So if you need to collaborate, the room changes. If you need to do heads down work, the room changes. You need acoustical privacy, the room changes, and all the people in the room itself coexist and co-create. So I think the future of that is already here. And I think again, I believe in the next 3 to 4 years that a prototype will become a reality. So I think in the new workspace, the trinity, as we look at it, the cultural connection between the team members will become even more prevalent and important. Because hybrid work is here to stay, people will need to be tied to an organization based on the culture of the organization, kind of the purpose of the organization, and the mission and the vision of the organization. I think extremely important. As we work in multiple formats, as machines come into our workspaces, it'll become even more important for the human community to build those bridges, build those bonds, build those connections. I think so. Organizations will be forced to create opportunities for communities to coexist. And the social fabric, I think that's the primary reason today why people come to work is because they want to have the social interaction, they want to have mentorship, and the social fabric that basically the sense of belonging in that AI-driven world where your work has become more complex while the machines are doing the simplified work. I think the social fabric or feeling of being connected to an organization, feeling connected to your co-workers, I think will become even more critical. Different AI maturity curves. We work with a lot of GCCs in the country. Many of them are just starting off. Many of them use co-creation agents. Some of them have gotten to a level where the workstation itself has become an ideation lab. The level of technology that they're building into a simple workstation is transforming how they look at work, right? I mean, we used to think about workstations as, simple places where you placed your laptop and did your work. Now, obviously, they started doing sit-stand workstations. We are currently working with a couple of organizations where the complete workstation becomes an AI embedded solutioning system. So I think that's how, at the spectrum of the AI maturity curve, every organization will have to find its own answer. But the reality is, if you do not have an AI strategy integrated into your workplace, I think you will be left behind. So 2 worlds to coexist, one human, the other analog. And I think the human will have to flow with the digital and the analog will have to coexist, where the analog will be forced to kind of flow as the digital flows, because the digital is going to flow extremely fast. And if your workplace is not able to adapt to the needs of the digital, then the analog will be left behind. And it will create an environment where there will be always constant friction, right? And I think to give you a simple example, in the future, in the very near future, any environment that you create will have to be adaptable. So this room should be able to be transformed, not within hours, but within seconds. If I wanted to be set up as a training room, if I wanted to set up as a work area, if I wanted to set up as a collaboration area, all of this will happen seamlessly on a switch of a button. And that's the level of workplace integration that we are talking about. And as I said, I mean, the prototypes are already out there, right? Clearly what we are building, at least as a company, we are doing a few different things. One, we are using AI to develop technology to ensure that the speed of delivery becomes faster. It typically takes from the point somebody gives us their requirements to getting a good for construction document that starts work at site. It's about an 8-week process. Today, we are working with a couple of large research institutions and software companies to take that down to 8 hours. So that's the level of AI fluency that we are trying to bring into the ecosystem. I think for us, every organization, one of the key discussions, and a lot of GCCs who are coming to India, my first question to them is, where is your cultural docket, right? Many of them have it, many of them don't have it, but the adaptation of that cultural to India is as important, right? It's not important to say I have a culture in Silicon Valley and hence it's the same thing. You have to adapt that. And I think that's about the cultural intelligence that we talk about. Our first discussions are around what does the brand stand for, what is your vision, what is your mission, what is your purpose, and all of these flow into culture. So the cultural intelligence becomes the one thread that ties the digital and the analog together. And as I said, adaptability is going to be key. If your workspace cannot adapt, you will be left behind. And I think organizations which create these workspaces which are adaptable, which are flow with the task as required, which create various opportunities for people to interact and kind of get their best outcomes, I think will be the ones that will succeed in the future. And again, I think the key question is your workspace future ready? If not, please contact us, we will help you. All right, thank you.
Hello? Yeah. Thank you, Amit. Thanks for your insights on how the workspace is evolving. And your thoughts on that is truly thought-provoking. Thank you very much, Amit. Now that we have seen how the workplace itself is evolving, let's turn to people within it. So AI isn't just changing tools, it's rewriting job descriptions. Our panel, Keeping Up with AI, Solving the AI Skill Crisis, explores how organizations are reskilling at scale. Joining us for this conversation is Yasmin Sheikh, former VP and head of HR at NextGen Healthcare, who has scaled teams across continents, built inclusive AI-ready cultures, and has led transformations globally. Outside work, she is a celebrated international athlete and is the first woman to win the women's singles title at All England Badminton Series Championship. Welcome. Next is Kavita Mehra, General Manager, India Center of Excellence at Dell Technologies, who has driven large-scale workforce transformations and operational excellence across global markets. Siddharth Shishu, Business Operation Lead at Dentsu Global Services, who leads strategic planning and high-impact initiatives at DGS. Megha Jasnani, Senior Director, NASDAQ, who leads global talent development and is building future-ready learning platforms across the enterprise. And moderating the session is Megha Deb, Engagement Manager at Zinnov, who advises leading firms on scaling learning cultures and workforce agility. Let's give them a warm welcome as they unpack strategies for building an AI-skilled workforce at speed and at scale.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon all. Welcome to today's panel discussion on solving the AI skills crisis. So more than 80% of the GCC leaders believe that AI is going to fundamentally change their workforce skill requirements over the next 3 years. Yet, only 28% of them believe that they are actually ready for this change. This gap actually tells us everything. AI is evolving faster than we are. As you all are aware, organizations everywhere are grappling to cope up with the change, trying to reskill their teams, building AI-fluent organizations. But the fact of the matter is most of them are only reacting rather than leading. And the skills shortage is only growing wider with time. So with this context in mind, I'm thrilled to be joined by a group of experts who are not watching this transformation from the sidelines, but are actually in it, leading their organizations towards this change. So my first question is to Yasmin. We talk a lot about the AI talent gap. But what do you see as the real skills crisis? Is it about quantity, quality, or lack of direction in the organization?
Thank you so much, Megha, for that question. And before I answer, thank you, Zinnov, for having me here. And it's a pleasure to see everyone and be here. So to answer your question, I think the crisis today is, you talked about quantity, quality, and direction. I think largely I would lean on direction. Because while we all are in this space of AI and figuring out what AI is, and I know we've heard a lot of panel discussions, fantastic ones over the last 2 days, where we're talking about making fancy presentations and saying, okay, I think I know ChatGPT, so I know AI. I think there's so much more to discover. So because if you look at skill set or if you look at just talent, I think we are abundant, we have abundant supply of talent in India. And if you look at NASSCOM's recent report of 2025, it says only 25% of the skilled workforce in India is project ready. What does that mean? What does it translate to? It essentially means, who are these folks who just not know Python, but, these are data scientists or data engineers, and who are these folks, or Snowflake? It's about, can they not just build designs, but can they build a design to bridge the gap to make business sense? So I think if you look at it, I think really the blueprint for AI is something that we all need to work on. Organizations are very intentional about doing it, but what does that blueprint look like from a strategy perspective, from what kind of people we want, or what are we looking at? I mean, do we want to set up an AI hub? I think we're all talking about that, but I think we're saying start with small steps. Like, what are your use cases? What are you looking around your work and your schedules that you see an opportunity to do that? And governance, because we talked about cyber threats, risk and safety of data, which can cost us millions. So how are we prepared for that? And I think over and above everything, Megha, I think it's also the mindset. Sometimes we tend to be order takers. You tell us, we'll do that. Do we have AI literacy enough? Do we all understand the language, or is it only a bunch of 10 people in that organization who are there? How do you extend that SME knowledge and not make it a single point of failure? How do you expand and collaboratively evolve at an enterprise level, not just one team, but let's say HR, finance, many such teams that we could do. So I think mindset is to be proactive about it, not reactive. Don't wait for instructions. Don't ask for permissions. Leadership is there, but I think if you go with the business case, if you can say what impact it creates, I'm sure the doors are open and people are willing to listen. I think India has a great opportunity, like Pari was saying. It's once in a century. So let's make the most of it, I feel, and there is enough scope for us to do that. Let's not be order takers, but ask the why, the what, the how, lead from the front and lead the way. I think India has a huge opportunity to become the AI capital of the world. Thank you.
Awesome, Yasmin. Kavita, over to you. What's your take on this subject, and where do you think is the real crisis emerging from?
100% aligned with her. But I think, so obviously, thank you for having me here. And I'm giving a disclaimer before only. I have a filter problem, so I'm just going to say it the way I actually see it. Exactly to what you said, I don't think we have a volume problem. And to exactly what you said, we don't have a gap. Yeah. It is a crisis. Yeah. And the reason why I'm saying crisis is not to create panic or to dramatize it, but for the simple reason that we need to act on it very, very urgently, right? And very practically, let's look at it. All of us have gone to colleges, right? How many of us are from engineering colleges here? And how many of us can keep their hand on the heart and say that all our engineering colleges are, as of now, ready with the AI skills? None. Okay, that answers the question. So you have to start from exactly the pipeline. I'm not even going into the schooling level where we are saying make AI mandatory. If you look at the colleges of today, right, we are still working on a playbook which is from the 2015s. And when I say 2015s, I'm talking about the pre-AI era. Our content is old. Our teaching methodology has not evolved. Our tools are not up to date. Do we have the relevant and the most latest AI tools for our students? I will not be surprised that if the students who are passing out of the colleges have not even worked on, let's say, a real-world data set. Leave aside the idea that have they adopted or have they really put an AI model in place. So when you look at all these things, you realize that there is a huge gap, right? You were talking about organizations. I'm sure about my organization. I'm talking about yours also. When we talk about the entire product development, everything is happening in weeks. The sprints are now on weeks. And we are feeding those sprints with students who have studied the same thing for 4 years. right? And we expect the change to happen. So at the end of the day, they are learning as of yesterday, but you want them to work as of tomorrow, right? So the gap is huge. So how is it that you think we can solve it? Now, the easiest way to say is, fine, not my problem, system problem, right? But now just to go one step further and let's look at the system of our own hiring. Plain and simple. How are we hiring today? When we go to colleges, what are we looking at? It's still the degree. It's still the marks. It's still topper. It's still let's go to the top branded colleges. Or let's go to the same colleges which we went to for the past 10 years. Why? Because their retention rate is high. Right? That is how we are hiring. Our searches are still keyword based on job sites. So your filters are outdated, but your capabilities have moved. So how is it that you're actually going to hire? So while we can't, I'm not saying that I'm able to change the world and dunya badal denge types and I will go and change the education system. How many of us are ready to actually look at our own hiring systems? So the problem is not with the people, the problem is with the entire system being outdated end to end. Right? And till the time we don't really work on it, this entire gap will go on increasing. We were talking with our team, there are going to be 84 million AI jobs by 2030.
Yes.
We don't have so many AI skilled people. Right? We still want to follow the linear path of hiring. 10th, 12th, 4-year colleges, and then whatever. Right? AI does not work like that. AI does not care what you have done for the past 10 years of your life. AI wants to know, do you understand today and can you connect it to tomorrow? Right? But we don't have that. We're losing out on an entire set of talent because we're not even looking at them. Why? Because maybe they never went to colleges. Maybe their education came from YouTube. Maybe their education came from online forums. But we will not take them. Why? Because they don't fit in our template. Right? And I completely agree. Bolna aasan hota hai at the end of the day. We all have mandates. Right? But somewhere we're just trying to see that can we start the change somewhere. So long story short, not a volume problem. We don't know how to identify talent. We don't know how to measure talent. We don't know how to reward talent. We don't. Let's accept it. And the last one, obviously, is volume is not the problem. Velocity is the problem. Validation is the problem. So let's call it the way it is.
So, building on what Kavita was saying, my next question is to you, Siddharth. Are traditional hiring channels, like she mentioned, still working for your organization, or are you reinventing the way you attract and retain AI fluent talent?
So I agree with her in parts. So that's a different discussion. For us at Dentsu, we've been in the forefront of technology transformation because Dentsu is all about advertising, media services. So technology, personalization, the amount of ads that you see in your YouTube channels, and it is changing every day for us. So for us, in Dentsu, we all about whether we are ahead of the curve or we're going to be behind. So for us, from a lot of our hiring talent is largely driven by what we want to do in future, because how do we make sure we have people who understand, have curiosity as a skill set, for example. How many kids actually have curiosity to explore something? You can give them the tools, but if they don't have the necessary attitude to use them, you can't do anything. So our hiring screens are different in that sense. We look for imagination, we look for creativity, we look for how they will leverage something and actually train themselves up a lot more.
The softer skills part.
Elements of how do you learn on your own is something we need to get very comfortable with, because we have this traditional mindset, and going back to what Kavita is saying, traditional mindset of run trainings, teach, get them in a classroom, teach them. But how can we make infrastructure which allows them to train at their pace, at their will? Because these are the same generation that learns from YouTube most of the times. And a lot of companies will not allow them to go to YouTube channels on their network. And that's odd, right? This is the generation, my son had a English literature exam today and he was doing Julius Caesar on YouTube yesterday night. And I was like, what the heck is happening here? He said, yeah, this is the way I can't understand my ma'am, so I'm going by YouTube. This is a real example of yesterday night. So imagine the same kid now, not allowed to go to these channels in an office network. How will they learn? You have to allow the infrastructure to go along with what is needed. We are talking about Perplexity, for example, on your phones, on your WhatsApp. You have Meta AI on your WhatsApp. these are the same kids that are learning faster than anybody else because you top. And so that's the infrastructure we're allowing people to experiment with. We're allowing them to innovate. We're allowing them to train. So our ability to hire is not necessarily by the tier 1, tier 2 or whatever. We do hire for that kind of skill set because, as I said, I differ on some elements. There are certain deeper subjects of data science require somebody to understand statistics and economics. So you can't get away with it, right? If I need somebody to understand how pricing works on an online store, pricing strategies need to be understood. So there are elements there, but I think we're always thinking ahead because for me, what is needed today may not be useful tomorrow. So how do I make it happen? So our approach is a lot more about getting good talent with good attitudes, the learning attitude, the agility around it, and then allowing them the freedom to operate on themselves and learn on their own, with their friends, with their seniors. That infrastructure is for us to give them. And I've seen success with that because people love to be on their own journeys. They like their learning paths to be self-paced, not necessarily driven by a mandate from an L&D leader or an HR leader.
Awesome. Megha, as AI is reshaping roles across functions. So, how are you aligning your internal job architecture to this change? If you can just elaborate. I know you have been extensively working in this area. If you can share your experience around it.
Absolutely. So, I think to begin with that, thank you all for being here and thanks Zinnov for inviting us. So this, I think like Megha said, it's a topic very close to my heart right now. It's something I've been actively working on for the last 1 full year, is the whole career framework itself. We all have levels in our organization and we have jobs. In this room, do you all know the number of jobs that exist in your organizations right now? Who knows the number of jobs, the hard skills that are required for it, the soft skills that are required for it, and the definitions of those skills, right? Because that is the foundational work for us to even start thinking about what else can we do with AI, not AI, and all the other conversations are secondary. So what we are doing at NASDAQ for the last year in partnership with Draup, we have Karthik sitting here, is kind of redesigning, redefining our career frameworks to one. I think we spent a good 6 to 8 months just going back to business also because we acquired organizations, different jobs came into our business to see what jobs do we have, and then we classified and reclassified, and we have like career family groups, we have career families now, we have skills, soft skills and hard skills. So at least now it's like the basis of the foundation that we need to build on is a structure that we have clear. And using that data is what now is going to be this next step, which is going to be the next year of transformation for us. We are going to go AI first as a strategy next year. Again, we are all trying to figure what AI means, and I think we were just laughing about it before this, that no one knows what it is or what we are going to do with it, but we're all here talking about it. But I think we're taking a pragmatic approach to it. We knew we started seeding stuff last year. This year is very basic Copilot, basic AI training. Next year is when we get aggressive, and in that time is when the people team has been tasked to create the entire framework. So we have the data to power us to do what we want. So the next thing we are going to do is, with all the career families and all of that we have, we're going to again work with Draup on this project to kind of say what are the tasks and responsibilities of people in these jobs, and then go down to the level of saying what of this can be automated and what of this is AI and what of this is simple automation. And then we get into what skills we need for AI and all of this. It is at least a year's worth project to even get to a place where we will be able to action on reskilling in AI. So it's basically we have one funda across NASDAQ, which is go slow to go fast. You can't already be running and then try to figure stuff.
And I'm sure I was also talking to you regarding this offline, that the next step would be to also link your compensation
Yes.
and
Oh,
decide on the
yes.
compensation
There's
of some of the skills which do not even exist today, perhaps.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how are you doing, going about that?
Correct. And that is a conversation we have almost every single day. I'm sure everyone here and there will agree. Compensation is tricky. So of course we've started hiring for AI, though we don't have a dedicated family to AI, because when I went to the business saying we need an AI family because that's the new thing, they're like, AI is a skill. AI is not a career family. It's not a job in itself. It's how job gets done. So we need to distinguish those two and not necessarily make it a job in itself.
Right.
So I think for compensation, there is no external data necessarily available to say where you go to anyone, Willis Towers Watson is our partner, they don't have necessary data, which is, again, relates to fintech and the very specific work we do. So we are making our own judgment calls, creating our own internal salary bands, and we'll continue. Now that we have our structures slightly well-defined, we are creating our own bands, and then as we evolve, the market evolves, I think we will cross-validate and get to a better place. But at this time, we're just going with our own internal.
You're actually setting the
benchmarks.
benchmark for a lot of other organizations out there.
Well,
Yeah,
possibly.
great work. So Kavita, you touched slightly upon this, but what are you willing to unlearn about talent when it comes to hiring in the AI first world? So for example, would you hire someone with no degree but perfect AI prompting skills?
You will disagree with me again? I think, I will not answer this as will I not hire someone from college and will I go for someone who has a degree. I think what you need to ask, I need to ask myself, and I'm not putting it to all of you, am I ready to experiment against the default system? I'm not saying change it, experiment it. It's not a tweak, it's going to be a huge shift. But we need to start somewhere. Like you have started, we have started. But the question which all of us need to ask is, are you ready to experiment? And I agree that I can say yes, 100%, because I have to say it, right? As in, I can't say anything else here right now, but the fact remains that no, it is difficult for me to unlearn. We are obsessed with pedigree. We are obsessed with degrees. Forget professional. Personally also, if I meet someone who's finished school, the first question you ask is, which college? It's in our system, right? So the thing is, am I ready to unlearn that? Am I ready to say that, okay, just because the person did not go to college does not mean the person is stupid or dumb, right? Am I ready to do that? I don't know. When I move forward, I have to be ready to the fact that, yes, I have to look at these non-traditional channels. Internally, I have to go back and see how is it that I'm going to upskill my people. And again, upskill, बहुत use हो गया है, right? But the thing is, 1 year ago, we would have said AI literacy. Now the question is, are you doing something with it? Right? The talent is there with you. From AI literacy, have you gone to adoption? All of you have enough and more, all of us. Okay? All of us have enough and more business problems. If you can have the talent which can work on it, with the SMEs that we have in the ecosystem, why can't we take them forward? So the idea is again simple, and while I'm asking you this, the entire question is to me. Can I go away from degrees to demonstration of capability? Can I go away from pedigree? Can I get away from resumes? Can I get away from filter searches and experiment? Because I personally believe that if you get that one success story in your organization, the system will change. Not immediately, but it will take time, but it will. So I am ready to unlearn. It's difficult. One day at a time, slowly, right? I think that was...
Yeah, Yasmin, would you like to build on that? What do you think AI qualified means in the context of this AI first world?
Yeah, absolutely, Megha, and great inputs, Kavita. And I think it's contextual for me. I think it's not that one size fits all. It depends on what we're hiring for. For example, I can talk about, NextGen that I was, part of. For 6 years, healthcare company, we wanted to create a COE, again, of data scientists, data engineers, because we had a great product which could reduce doctors and patients' interaction, like, scribe that conversation and reduce the time for the doctor to spend, so that in that time save, which was 2-3 hours, he or she could see 4 or 5 patients more. So we're making it more efficient for everyone. So when we were hiring, we were like, what are we looking for, right? First of all, is this skill available in the market? What is your definition of, okay, I want to build a COE? What is this person going to do? And that was another part of the crisis, right? To say, do the teams know what they need to work on? You're saying, okay, go do AI, go do this, but what exactly does it translate to? I don't think we had answers fully to it, but to really keep coming back to the war room and saying, this is what it is, and there are 5 other stakeholders, and your CXOs, and your next level engineering leaders, trying to create. Everyone has great intent, but is everyone able to translate what you really want? Eventually, when we wanted, then we said, should we hire a data engineer first or a data scientist first? What is this person going to do? Because hiring is fine, but what work will they do? I mean, they're going to get frustrated and leave, right? And that's bad press for the organization. So I think we undid some of those. We realigned ourselves, and then our product is working really well. Then we identified what we wanted, and then we went on. So baby steps, right? Taking clear steps of what we wanted. So yes, in those roles, we would need somebody to think out of the box, to be very creative, to be hungry to experiment and try it out. Maybe pedigree doesn't matter. Even your OpenAI experts they have college dropouts, so nothing wrong with them. I think it's a mix of both that we would need. Depends on what role and context. And earlier we would hire for problem solvers. I think we are shifting that to problem identifiers in the AI world. Because unless you don't know what you're solving for, what are you going to solve? That's your use case. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So Siddharth, next question is to you. Are academic programs aligned with what the industry needs, or are they still playing curriculum catch-up?
I think there is catch-up.
Okay.
And where I was disagreeing with her, I should bring it up, is I've been in the Skills Council of NASSCOM for the last 10 years. Okay. I have seen how we created a ministry for skills development for the first time in 2015. We never had a skills development ministry at central government levels. So there is initiative, there is funding, there is right people in the room. I think there is lack of commitment on the industry side. You can't do curriculum development in isolation. You can't do it. I have personally spent enormous amount of energy, time, teaching my own college what we need to change in the curriculum. Luckily, my university was deemed they could take my feedback. They took 1 year to change their coursework. 1 year internal approvals in a private university. It takes time for these things to materialize. You're talking about 1 year later, and then you will take 4 years for the guy to come out with that kind of output. So these changes are slow, but they will be driving those changes. Unfortunately, the speed of innovation in technology is so fast, the curriculum will never catch up. Eventually, what you see in US universities is they will run electives only. They will have base course and you have majors and minors. Eventually, we have to get to that point where you have minors in line with market requirements, but they can't do it in isolation. And my request to all of us here is to contribute. Contribute with what you can help them with use cases. They need people to tell them what examples can I give. The teachers need to get upskilled. So there are 2 or 3 programs where you can actually help them by contributing your use cases. Obviously, data can't be shared, but you can actually contribute to the curriculum development. There is a lot of work happening at both the school level as well as at the university level in India, largely. And NASSCOM has been driving a lot of conversation. But to your pointed question, we are not able to catch up because of the need, the volume, and not every college can do the way that they can do. They need funding, they need teachers to teach AI, they need teachers to teach data scientists. How will you find those if we don't contribute our time to teach? So we have to go to the campuses wherever you have graduated from, at least do that much. Yeah. Go and teach and help them with use cases, help them with content. That's all is needed. And I think in my side, personally, that's my personal contribution that I want to help them with whatever I know. But at a Dentsu level, I'll go back to my company effort on this side. We've been working at 2 levels, school level as well as at the university levels, where we are actually going and helping them talking about marketing, sales, AI, data analytics, because these are our sweet spots. and we are helping with whatever through our NGO partners. We're getting to talk about these topics because there is so much you still have to come. But I don't think we can leave it to the UGC and the government of India. They have the money, but they don't have the volunteering power. They need experts, and we are the experts. And we can't keep ourselves away from it. We have to contribute.
Brilliant work, Siddharth. Should compliment you for doing so much. Yeah. So our research says that 61% of employees say that they feel overwhelmed by the pace of AI tools, updates, and the pressure to constantly upskill because there's too much of upskilling, reskilling, polyskilling in the air. So Megha, my question to you is, are you seeing a kind of a fatigue setting within your teams? And if yes, what are you doing to address that?
So I think there's no denying, I think everyone is fatigued. I think including all of us. I think it's so overwhelming. So I was having a conversation with one of the business leaders, and he was saying, every 3 hours, there's something new coming, or there's an enhancement coming to something that already exists. You can't play catch up. I think it's impossible to know everything of everything that's happening in the technology world. Right? So to answer your question, yes. And again, how are people perceiving it? I think the way Gen Z is accepted versus the way millennials accept it is very different. The reactions are different. I think Gen Zs are digital natives. I think for them, it's easier. They don't necessarily get so overwhelmed as some of the millennials, including me, right? So, and again, I think in that, I think I'll just go back to what Vijay was sharing yesterday as well. I think the mid-career folks are the ones that are most fatigued and also fearful of what's happening, with what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to the job I'm doing. And I think that's more kind of fatiguing them out rather than just the technology itself. So I think from what we're doing, I think we're still trying to figure what we need to do, honestly. We are taking baby steps in training our people in AI, identifying pockets where we want to implement AI. There's lots of strategies, but again, I think nothing's happening tomorrow. Right. It is a 3 to 5 year plan. And I think by the time we get to some of these places, we have a vision, but the steps in the process are yet to get fully defined. And I think from the way our culture is, it's always people first. It's not going to be technology. I mean, of course, technology is important, clients are important, but our people are equally important. So it will be a very well thought through and a human first approach to any decisions that will get made.
Siddharth, with every company now becoming an AI-first company, what do you think are some of the AI skills which are becoming foundational? And I'm not just talking about tech roles, but it is across functions, be it HR, procurement. What are some of those non-negotiable AI skills?
Yeah, I think we love to call ourselves as AI first, but reality we all know. Right? Yeah. So, thank you. So, I think it's positioning, which is good, even from our perspective at Dentsu, because I represent Dentsu here, and I want to say this, that we have a very strong challenge in the marketplace. Right now, if you look at agencies who were traditionally always building ads for large brands, you have kids coming out of nowhere, creating some fantastic ads that get viral. So how do you compete with that kind of crowdsourced environments? So from our internal perspective, it's a survival issue. We have to adopt AI. We have to see it in everything we do. And one of the things that I've seen in Dentsu is that it's very democratized. It's not left with the business. It's something that everybody's asked about. Why are you not thinking about using ChatGPT, or why are you not using this for this? So for example, within our own small world here in India, my hiring engines, we have a bot interviewing the level 1. We are experimenting, and that's the most important cultural element that I would want to call out. You have to be open to experimentation, as she was rightly saying, and also be okay with failures.
Yes.
Because if you have an intolerant failure culture, people will not experiment, and then nothing will come out. So allowing for failure to happen is a good way to figure out what else can I do with it. So for example, we're experimenting with, we have done a couple of experiments with this AI interviews done by a bot, first level, so that my fatigue of my managers of all the time interviewing goes away. And we've seen some good success. Our win rates have been higher, conversions are higher. So we're experimenting with that. A lot of chatbots that we can internally create. And these are college projects for people, right? So we get our interns from colleges and then tell them, build a chatbot, use whatever you need for the finance team, because people keep asked, they have 15 questions every finance guy gets asked every day. Headcount kitna hai, revenue kitna hua, kal kitna, bench kitna hai. So, you know, if there is a way to access the data, and data quality is always a challenge, but we are fixing that on the sites, but getting that ability for us to bring, they don't know the AI part, they don't know how to do a chatbot. A finance guy will not, he's expert in financial planning, but if I get him a nice intern who can really help him, he'll get comfortable with it. The whole element of getting comfortable with something which technology-led is something that we are experimenting. And I think we've seen some good success with HR and finance, largely. Procurement, not so much, we've not reached there, but it's a journey.
So we are almost towards the fag end of the conversation, but coming up your way are 3 rapid-fire questions, which I want each one on the panel to answer. So I'll start with Yasmin. What is one overhyped skill and one underrated one in today's talent market? Just one each.
I think the overhyped skill is maybe prompt engineering. No, I can just say same. So, yeah, so good. Okay. So yeah, I think we know Chat GPT, so we know everything.
Yeah.
But and yeah, it just I think we are spoiled somewhere, or I think we become lazy that we feel Chat GPT should understand what I'm even not saying and just deliver it. But I think
Underrated one?
underrated is I think problem writing, because I think it's the same prompt, right?
Yeah.
I think how effectively you're using it. If you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answers.
Got it.
And I think that's what it is.
So Kavita will just ask you the second part of the question. Okay. Underrated?
Yeah, I think underrated is the ability to convert or understand how your AI solutions are going to solve a problem. How
Okay.
relevant it is to the business or etc.
Okay,
And
relevance.
second one, because I didn't get to answer this one. Okay? Piece of collaboration, right? You cannot have AI solutions built in isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be in the culture. It has to
Integrated.
be in your entire ecosystem. It can't be someone's domain. That's true.
Siddharth?
I'm a big fan of soft skills, so I will always say we overhype the tech skills generally.
Okay. Yeah.
Because coding skills, you might know Python, but that's not the world.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
overhyped always. I would
Yeah.
look for logical reasoning more than anything else.
Okay.
Analytical reasoning more than anything else. So underhyped is logical reasoning.
Logical.
And obviously ability to work with people. So you can't do this alone.
Collaboration.
Finally.
Megha?
I don't have a tech skill, but I think it's basically assuming that AI can solve all our problems is overrated. And underrated is, I think, similar to what Siddharth was saying. I think it's the subject matter expertise and the domain skills that humans can bring to the table and not just a bot.
Okay. Okay, the next question is, which is that one skill you think will not stand the test of time, maybe become irrelevant over the next 5 years? We'll start with Megha.
Yes. So I'll go the easiest, which is routine repetitive tasks, which is your data entry jobs and all your basic Excel downloads and all of that will just
Okay, so
not
we are not
exist.
going to use Excel 5 years
We
down
will
the line.
need Excel, but it's going to go in the back end.
Never do away with Excel.
Excel will always live.
Yes.
Yeah, so Siddharth?
I think whatever I have seen, largely research will go away.
Yeah.
A lot of people spend lives doing primary research, secondary research. Insight generation will go away in a way because it will get automated, generated either through LLM models or built-ons with Excel on top.
Yeah.
Right? So you give the Excel to the Chat GPT
Yeah.
and they will analyze it for you.
Right, got it. Kavita?
I think one is obviously saying the repetitive tasks will go away, whether it is across domains. So you can't say it will stay with me or it will not. Everything mundane, repetitive, simple will go away. You mentioned research, right? You talk about syntax memorization. You talk about coding, entry level. I'm not saying it will go away, but all these things will get impacted. So anything and everything, when you start with it and it's repetitive, it's simple, it's mundane, I think all of it will touch all domains across.
Got it. Anything specific that you have as a skill?
Mostly covered by all, but I think like maybe QA,
Yeah.
line by
Okay.
line testing, customer service queries. I think we already are seeing examples of that. I don't know, this sounds scary, but like a receptionist, I'm not saying that's a role, it's not a skill, because I remember our CEO once visited a customer's place and there was nobody at the reception. There was just a button at the door which he had to press, and it just told him next steps. He said, okay, just key in your name, and he said, okay, you have a scheduled appointment with the CEO, and then he just walked in and then walked out. That's it. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know what AI will bring to us,
Yes.
but I think we just have to go with the flow.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for the energy and the insightful discussion. So, yes, definitely I'm opening up the floor for questions.
All
Yes,
questions to
go
her.
ahead.
No.
Please come.
I'll first compliment this panel. Actually, it's been 1.5 day. We all talking about AI, right? You guys are the first one who actually said we just don't know what it is.
But yeah, you're right,
We
you're
were
right.
honest.
The reason I sit on the other side, and I came in specifically to understand from an HR point of view.
Yeah.
I sit in the business side, and I've been in this problem right now. The AI skills and how to kind of help it. I go back to I have an autistic son. So for me, AI means is autism. When you don't know anything, you just call it a spectrum. A lot of things comes in. But what I understood is how my kid helps, and in my company, I'm actually in the kind of fight. Right? And I thought this is the best session to come. Is emotional intelligence comes to be the most important. If we don't have emotional intelligence, we cannot actually build, or
Right.
we cannot even consume out of AI.
Absolutely.
And I've seen in my house, and that's where I'm in the engineering side, I'm trying to build the tools. But I'm fighting with my company to say that, just by giving Ferrari cars, nobody's going to help us. Prompt engineering is probably overhyped, but
Yeah.
consuming it, you need
Yeah.
to understand from a human element.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people, partnering with a lot of product teams, a lot of things. So the reason I'm saying this is not a question, but just the way I see it. Does that reflect what you guys are into the problems?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we should put that skill as most important.
Can I take that?
Yeah.
Business
And I'm
will
sure.
not probably add it. I'm
Yeah.
saying a problem from my end,
Yeah.
because business will always ask about
Results.
Results. Right.
HR should force people to
Right.
every region should have an emotional intelligence.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for your question. Sorry, didn't get your name. Nivas. Nivas, thank you, and sorry to know that. I mean, you're looking for a specific thing, but it's great, and I think thank you. It's so important. I think from my experience, and I'll open it to my co-panelists as well. But the reason I jumped in is because something very close to my heart is just not the what and the why, but it's the how. Right? It's how you deliver something, how you treat, how that system is talking to you. How's the employee experience through the whole thing? It has to be centered, that the system should have curiosity or sensitivity to know what question is being asked and how to get that. So emotional intelligence, absolutely the number one thing. It's just how you treat people, how you feel how you make the workplace inclusive. And I think if we don't have emotions, we are not humans. I mean, then we just can leave AI to rule the world. So absolutely agree with you that it's very important. So
We have time for one more question?
I think we should.
No? Oh, somebody's already started. Okay, the last question.
Yeah, sure. My name is Saurabh. I am HR partner in G Healthcare. I have a specific question for Kavita and Megha. So Kavita, we have seen Microsoft invest heavily in OpenAI, and it may or may not be working out. I want to know what is Dell doing in its products and services in integrating AI? And to Megha, the question is, what is NASDAQ doing in terms of using generative AI for market surveillance or risk management? That's what I wanted to know.
So the first one, what is Dell doing, right? So I'll try my level best not to use the jargon, But I think from Dell, if we see our journey, and I say journey because I have been with Dell for 21 years. So I have seen that half-cycle technology, right? That it used to take 20 years or 12 years for things to change. Then it went to 7 to 8, and now it's 1 year. When you talk about Dell specifically, we're actually looking at how is it, we have 4 parameters, right? AI in, AI on, AI for, AI with. Simple. You need to have AI in all our products. If you're talking about software, you're talking about storage, server, networking, at the end of the day, the hardware is the hardware. Just to your point, right? It's a software which is going to add value. How is it that you create that culture? How is it that you build it? Internal hackathons, external hackathons, and you don't just do it once a year event, right? It has to be continuous with everything that you do. So that's about the products. Then about AI on all our processes, right? Again, growth happened organically or inorganically, right? We have 100 million tools with us. How do you tie all of them together? Your own processes need to work for your customer to have the best experience possible or maximum ROI. AI with our partners, right? Again, the same thing, collaboration. I can't say I know everything on this planet. You have to work with people who have the expertise, and you have to accept it that they have it. Don't reinvent the wheel, work with them. And AI for our customers and everything that we do. I think that's where I will put it, but all of it happens that you need to understand the talent. The talent is there in your organization. You just need to figure out how is it that you get them to work with it, not just literacy, faster. So does that answer your question, my friend? Thanks.
So I'll be quick. I know Megha's looking at me. So I think for NASDAQ, opening up to AI is, I think, far more difficult given, I think, the security of the data and the markets that we control. Saying that, it's not like we don't have AI. We have our own internal Gen AI platform, which employees use to create assets, create tools, and all of that. But that's more internal, that's more experimental, that's more for hackathons, that's more for building the AI muscle in the organization. But there are products where we have AI, which is our board products, which is basically nothing but document summarization, reporting. So the board, various boards that meet, they have a summary of the documents that I'll be reading, or they can prompt and get some answers. We are doing it in QA. Again, we are doing it not just in the marketplace is probably going to be one of the last to adopt, but we have fintech products and board products and some of the other surveillance products which are still very nascent, and we would probably have those kind of come up in the next year.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Megha, I would request you to please hand over a token of appreciation to all our panelists. Guys, please put together for it was a fun and learning session, so please put together your hands. Megha, I would request you to please hand over the token of appreciation. Guys, please put together a round of applause. Thank you, thank you. That was a great and insightful discussion. I think the session was a powerful reminder that solving for AI skill gaps isn't just about training, it's about building a culture of continuous learning and adaptability. We have talked about talent, we have talked about skills. Now let's zoom out and rethink the very structure of how work gets done. In this next session, titled The New Shape of Work, and it's not a pyramid, we explore how AI, agility, and flattened hierarchies are reshaping the modern organization. Joining us are 4 leaders who have not just studied this shift, but have architected it on the ground. Yumi Clemengali, Chief Strategy Officer, Quest Global, who is driving growth and transformation across sales, operations, and marketing. Nikhil Agarwal, Director, Talent Intelligence and Analytics, Equivia, who is redesigning how life sciences team work and reskill in an AI-powered regulated world. David Amabil, Head of Transformation Platform at Leonardo, who has led global efforts in building collaborative, network-oriented engineering units across aerospace and defense sectors. Prashamsa Gartawla, Global Head of Talent Sourcing and Intelligence at AXA XL, specializing in embedding agility and AI readiness in global operations. Moderating the panel is Hani Mukhi, Senior Director, People Success Partner from Zinnov, an expert on new age organizational models and workforce strategies that actually scale. Get ready to hear how these leaders are flattening pyramids, dissolving silos, and building organizations fit for the future. I request you all onto the stage.
Okay. Well, after that wonderful session by the previous panel, now we are here to talk about the new shape of work. And I'm extremely honored to have the joy of moderating the 4 leaders who are not just shaping it, but they're actually redesigning it. Right? So they're going to be unleashing a lot of things for us on what they're really doing, how is it going, and what do we expect. Is the new term going to be a diamond, a constellation, or just the T-scale shells? We don't know. We'll hear it from them on what they're redesigning and what they're looking forward to. We'll also try and keep it short and brief so that we give you enough of time to ask the panelists questions, but we'll get started first quickly. So Nikhil, why don't we start with you? You offered a sharp lens on the disappearing first rung of the career ladder when we were having our discussion, right? If foundation roles continue to shrink, how do you reimagine growth, learning, and readiness for the next generation?
Thanks, Annie, for asking that. And before I say anything, it's been a pleasure being here. So thank you for hosting us. And thank you for inviting me to this panel. I represent IQVIA, and some of my views are going to be around what we are doing in our company, and then see, hopefully all of you can learn from it. So I think shrinking of the bottom layer is clearly a problem, but I think it also uniquely presents an opportunity in terms of how we can redesign the workforce career movements for our early talent or next generation. There are a couple of shifts that we need to make. According to me, most of these are mind shift changes. The first one is that we have to start believing and practicing that career growth will not happen vertically. As AI erodes the bottom layer, and as even the middle layer is at risk, we need to look at newer ways of enabling career growth. I think the new definition of career growth will not be moving from manager to senior manager to associate director. It will be more around the accumulation of portfolio of skills that you will end up assimilating. It's about the cross-department learnings that you are having. It's about the portfolio of skills that you are assembling. It's going to be about that. And extremely pleased to say that in IQVIA, we have been championing this initiative for a few years now. We call it Career Connections. Think of it as an internal marketplace where early talent, mid-age talent, they can come to the platform and without leaving their functional, fundamental day jobs, they can participate in side gigs, take up cross-team projects, or for example, if you're a hotshot analyst in finance, and you can go ahead and lend your analytics expertise to HR because they have a project open. So not only you learn about different domains, but you accumulate those experiences and become more future ready. So that's something that we are doing. Second thing, I think what we need to do is, as we know that some of the fundamental skills or core skills or tech skills which were indispensable, suddenly now they are being questioned. They are likely to disappear. And I think organizations also need to ensure that we recognize human-centric skills like empathy, emotional intelligence. I know the previous panelists were talking about that. But enterprises need to leapfrog and ensure that we are recognizing those skills more. And I think one of the levers that we can pull is the EVP lever, or the employer value proposition lever. I think conventionally most enterprises, most organizations, their EVPs are heavily centered around, exhibiting the tangible elements that we offer. We have a beautiful compensation package. We offer supreme benefits. We offer work-life balance. I think it's time now to think beyond some of those things and look at, reimagining your EVPs or recalibrating your EVPs, where the EVP is talking about growth mindset, focus, collaboration, innovation, because that's when the incoming talent will realize that's what the organization is valuing, and they will automatically be calibrated from day one when they come in. And third, and the most important thing, and my last point, is that I think if you look at the last 4 or 5 decades, I think humans have always been intimidated by technology. In 1980s, it was the computers. In 1990s, it was the internet. In the year 2000, it was mobile phones, smartphones. In the 21st century, you can easily give it to social media. And now we are talking about AI. And I'm not sure something else will come back and bite us hard in the next 10 years. But I think the way to kind of champion this is by looking at data. I think as HR leaders, as talent acquisition leaders, and as people who are handling HR at a broader scale, I think we are sitting on so much of rich data. I think it's time now to put that data to good use, look at what skill sets we have, what has been our attrition, what's our workforce performance, who has what skill sets, and we put it to good use to understand where the gaps are. And I think there are 2 ways in which you can do this. One is do this internally by forming internal project teams, or the other is, I was listening to Mr. Vijay Swaminathan's conversation about his talk on, the intersection of human and AI. I think something like Drop can be a beautiful partner because they are championing this initiative, they are building capabilities. So use the expertise which is out there. Give it to an expert who will help bridge that gap for you. So those are, my 3 takes on this topic.
Great. Thanks, Nikhil. I think very rightly said, right? Most of us at least are used to the fact of, or what we grew up knowing is that we will grow the career ladder and then only reach the top. Today, AI is flattening that a lot more, right? That's kind of what the reality is, and that's what we're trying to unwind. We used to think that, okay, if you start as a data engineer, you'll only continue to grow in that same area. It's no more the same. The T-shaped skills is what the reality is. So as we unfold some...
Can I just build on
Sure.
one point that you said? I think your second point around future-proofing the talent, it is around this cross-pollination of different kinds of skill sets. And I don't know if any of you had a chance to hear one of the presentations in the main hall a little while ago around this idea of polymath engineers and polymath leaders. And I do think it's not only good for talent to be cross-trained because they'll not become obsolete, but beyond that, it's like really good for solving business problems when people can see the problem from the whole perspective and not just like a myopic view of like one skill set or one functional point of view. So I think it's not only good for future-proofing talent, like you said, but it's actually really smart from a driving business growth perspective as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Yumi, you have really set the next segue for Pratham Shah. This is the question for you. Your work on skill-based hiring and internal mobility, especially in AXA XL, is not just timely, but it's also future timing, right? With that in mind, what's been your biggest shift in thinking around the role fit and capability mapping in the skills-first world?
Yeah. Thank you for that, actually. And I think my job was made a little easier by the earlier panelists as well as Nikhil, so thank you all for all of that. Skills is the currency, the new currency of the workforce, right? So when you see, and there's some data that I want to quote here, that by 2030, 40% of the skills that we possess currently today is going to be of no use. And it's scary, right? Also, 1 billion of us in the world, 1 billion of us in the world, we have to see that we talked about upskilling, but we have to loosen up and upskill ourselves by 2030 to become relevant. So it does sound scary. And I will put in some thoughts around what does that mean for us, right? So World Economic Forum talked about future of skills, and they listed out the skills, and it's known to everyone. We speak about skills like AI fluency, adoption, etc., being the number one. The second one, being networking and cybersecurity, etc. And the third one around technological advancement and being. So what that means is, it just does not mean in isolation. It means that we need to build fluency around what we do currently as a skill, that's skills that we have, right? And you will be surprised that the 6, 7 skills beyond that is all analytical thinking, creative agility, resilience. I think somebody spoke about adaptability, emotional intelligence, resilience, right? So these are some of the real key skills that's going to be there. So what does it mean for us? That means organizations and business leaders like all of us realize that there is a gap. We need to fill that gap. And how are we really filling this gap in the world? I can give you AXA XL's example of how AXA is doing it. We're doing it in a 2-pronged approach. We need to make the current workforce ready for future, and also ensure that the workforce that is coming in is ready to get into the world of how future thinks, right? These are the 2 major challenges that we have faced off. So what AXA XL did was we did a huge job coding taxonomy for each of the skills and identify which are the key skills that is required to be future focused and future proof. So we identified not just technical skills. We have technical skills, we have business skills, and then we have people skills. And then we assessed ourselves. Each and every employee went through that skills discovery framework, and we did an assessment for 90 minutes, and we understood. Think of it like a blood report. It has a global standard where you need to be and where you are. So you understand the gap for yourself. So how did we facilitate that? It doesn't need to go to a manager or anybody. You don't need to do that. What you need to just do is, internalize and see, okay, what are the quick learning programs that I need to bridge the gap and fill the gap with. So that's one part of what we did. And to make sure that we make sure that the world has the new skills that we enter the workforce, we ensure that we do skills-based hiring, similar to the people skills, the people skills, the business skills, and tech skills. We leverage that framework to make sure that every interview guide or every assessment guide is assessed to that, is married to that. And that's how we are hiring. So we are hiring for potential and not the pedigree anymore. So we are ensuring that we do that. And I feel that going into the skills-based world, and like Nikhil said, there's so much coming in. In 2 years, we'll be talking about something else. It's like the protein discussion going on in the last 2 years, right? I mean, we'll have something else. It's AI right now. It's something else coming up. So the ability, the courage to learn and continuously learn is, I think, going to be the superpower. I think that's where it comes down to for me, for sure.
Great. Thanks, Pratamsha. I think that also leads us to some very important thing that, David, you have been talking about. For instance, your Ninja team approach of solving talent shortages was a great example of cross-cultural agility that we have. Why don't you tell us, what did you learn from that experience about breaking traditional silos and reshaping team structures?
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to bring you a different perspective, not only because I'm coming from Europe, but also because our business, the aerospace and defense, is not only software, it's an industrial business with many of the clients that are used to command and control paradigm of managing. So it's very complex. Consider that we have 60,000 people around the world, but 20% are blue collar. So we mix data scientists, AI specialists with the maintenance technicians. So this is one of the complexity. What I see in big organization, and then I will tell you how we try to solve this issue, that many models can coexist, depending on different situations. So we have agile teams in some parts, we have decentralized network, we have a matrix, weak or strong as you prefer. We have sometimes also functional teams. So many models can coexist. What we are trying to do in the last years, and I want to tell my personal experience in the last 3.5 years inside the aircraft business. So very industrial business. We provide all the tools to increase projectification in all the areas, not only the engineering areas, not only the business area, but also inside all the staff and other organizational areas. Projectification means we created a network of networks, or what we call IPT, Integrated Project Teams. This very pervasive in organization. Unfortunately, the number of talents ready to be part of those teams is not enough for all the teams we have created. So when we discussed the topic, I said, I want to share the experience we had, what we call the ninja. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the ninjutsu, the art of shadow, no? The art of being visible in the Japanese tradition. We identify a number of talents that combine potential and performance, because of course we have to find people that is affordable and can deliver, because delivery and execution is still the main topic, but with the specific characteristics. So we assessed them. We classified them in 2 levels, ninja masters and ninja, not very easy to remember, based on their characteristics that are, of course, mastering technical skills in the different field, depending on the IPT, depending on the area. I told you before, are cross-functional, so you have engineering, procurement, operation, customer support, whatever you want. Those people have been assessed also in terms of ninja characteristics. So if you think to the ninjutsu, there are in the paradigm some specific characteristics. Ninja were very fluid, very flexible, very ready to adapt to change. On the meantime, they are not the leaders. So we are not just looking just for leaders. We are just looking for the best team players we can find in the organization. That means people open to collaborate, ready to connect the dots inside the organization, very fast in learning, and very curious to learn, but very open to share their knowledge with the others, not protecting their knowledge. No? We evaluated also an important, and for me, one of the most important for the future, the capability, the ability to coach the others, to mentor the others, to help developing the others is one of the most characteristics we look for in those kind of ninja. Let me say, 3 years later, what I can say is that we found a double-digit productivity increase in those teams where we included this shadow people that then are part of the team. We call it in Latin, coming back to 2,000 years ago in Roman, primus inter pares. That means first among equals. So they are not the leader, but the most important contributor to the success of their teams.
That's fantastic. Just the way how everything is coming together. And some of you who are HR leaders over here always heard this or always said, right, one size doesn't fit all. It continues to be the same, but what's adding on is potential is becoming more important, becoming more flattening it's no more like leaders have to grow up the hierarchy, leaders is more influential, leadership is becoming a real thing. A lot of us have spoken about it, heard about it, but we are now in the era where it's real. It's now. It's now that we need to solve for, we need to create for, and we need to start shaping for. So with that context, just moving on, Remy, how are you, when you were talking to us, you did share with us about the actocracy versus bureaucracy and distributed empowerment reality, and that really resonated with a lot of us as we were discussing. So why don't you talk to us about how are you structuring decision making to stay close with customers without losing alignment to the core?
Thank you for that, and good afternoon, everyone. We have a hard time slot because we're right after lunch, so we'll do our best to keep everybody entertained here and curious. So, yeah, we in our intro discussion, I was sharing with the team this idea of actocracy. So we've invented a word at Quest Global, which is actocracy as opposed to bureaucracy. And it's because our company is very flat, already structured. We only have 5 layers in the company anyways. And in a company of 22,000 people, 5 layers is already a very flat organization, very flat. And so, what we're doing now, and let me first, I guess, describe what actocracy means. Simply stated, it means making sure that our teams know that they're empowered to, get a hold of the business problem, make sure you fully understand the whole business challenge in front of you, figure out who can help solve the problem across any kind of boundary. There aren't boundaries. Who can help you solve the problem? And then have the empowerment and courage and psychological safety around you to take the action, take the decision, and move the ball forward. And that goes for all 22,000 people in the company. And so it's a very timely topic for Quest Global right now. We just crossed $1 billion in revenue this year, so it's a big milestone for us. And what started as a 2-person organization 28 years ago is now just over 21,000. And so a lot of our success over these years has really been centered around this idea of building a culture around owner's mindset and having this entrepreneurial DNA where everybody feels like they're the most important person in the company. Everybody feels like they're empowered to take decisions because they are closest to what is happening, at the front line, and they're the ones who have the best knowledge of like what's needed in this moment and go for it. So our teams are very decentralized anyways and empowered to take risks, make investment decisions, act in the best interest of the company and the best interest of what will make our clients successful, and then obviously what's in the best interest of our people. But I say all of that because the context is really important. We're now gaining scale, and it's easier to do when you're a smaller organization. And as we scale and as we have aspirations to actually build a 100-year-old company, we're trying to figure out how do you hold on to this decentralized structure and not let the pyramid sneak in. Because as we all know, as companies get bigger, centralized decision-making becomes more prominent, more rules and policies and regulations start to creep in, the business starts to slow down, and then ultimately, the bureaucracy starts settling in. And so we are actively trying to get ahead of that and fight it. And so that's where this terminology of actocracy has come into our organization. So not only talking and having very active conversations all the time, just shoot the shot, like go for it. But also equally as important is having very candid conversations with our frontline leaders around how do you spot bureaucracy? And what does that look like? Let's name it, let's describe it, and then let's call ourselves out when we're doing it. Like how many people does it really take to make a decision? How many meetings did you have to get to the decision point? And, it should be one meeting, the right decision people in the room, which is not anybody at the top of the company, take the decision. And so we're very much having an equal weighting on fighting bureaucracy as we are on the acting part of it. So the only other thing I wanted to kind of share a bit about is, I think this is not only good for business and helping us making sure that we're taking decisions, that are in the best interest of our clients and our people, as a whole, but it's also very motivating for our people. No one wakes up and says, oh, I can't wait to go to work and be a cog in the wheel and do a routine task and have no voice in the company. No, we're all wired to be hungry and aspirational and, dream of our potential and stretch ourselves and figure out how to get there. So when you have empowered organization where decision making is truly decentralized, it gives people an opportunity to be motivated and feel like they're contributing and making a difference every day. And so that is also good for business because there you have a motivated employee group who have less attrition, and there's costs and all kinds of things that come out of that. So it's like good for business and good for our people. So I'm a huge advocate of decentralization and this whole idea of actocracy. If I could leave that with you, I would. I think it's something interesting to hang on to instead of typically how large organizations act.
No, very true. And I guess that's something that definitely is a big takeaway, especially given the scale. It's most of the time we say it's easier to build it, but how do we sustain it? But given the scale that Yumi was talking about, definitely talks about it is possible. We are in the world of era now where the art of possibility is with us. So it's all about how we shape it and how we take it forward rather than waiting for somebody to define it for us. So with this, I'll probably pause with my questions and open it up to the audience if there are any questions for the panelists. Okay. Can we have a mic there, please?
So thank you for the insightful session. So my question is for the talent acquisition or talent leaders, basically. So as we are implementing a lot of AI in terms of hiring process as well. Now, most of the organization, they are trying to automate as much as possible the hiring process. So from the hiring process, we are trying to eliminate the human intervention or human element from the hiring process where we are hiring people. So how actually you see that thing is how by doing that, are we able to keep a human element or human touch to it, or means are we going to eliminate it totally in future?
I think I can take that because I wear both hats at times depending on what I'm doing. I don't think that's completely true. We're not completely eliminating the human element in hiring. But I think what we're trying to do is whatever is. So we live in India, and when we hire in India, if we have one data engineering role, there are 3,000 people applying for it overnight, especially in the world of inclusion and diversity, where we don't give any years of experience, etc., on the job description. You can imagine a chef is also applying for a data engineering role. So we use AI to filter out the real mean in where we can actually find good talent, but that does not mean the human element is eliminated anywhere in the process. I think there is more value add that the recruiters will do and have personal conversations with the right set of candidates. I don't think that's going. Did I answer that for you?
Yeah. Can I just build on what you said? I mean,
Sure.
I'm not talent acquisition by any means, but I am a brand person. And lead marketing for our organization as well. And so I think, Nikhil, you were saying before this idea of EVP and things like that. Your employer brand matters a lot for everybody in this room. And so you can't take the human part completely out of the equation because every touch point with your company is a chance to make an impression that reflects on the brand of your company in a positive or a not positive way. And I, was just using that phrase of like, no one wants to feel like a cog in the wheel. But if it feels like through your recruitment process that you actually are a cog, then like imagine the kind of talent that you're actually attracting to come sign up for that job. So of course, AI is gonna help weed out. You can't possibly weed through 3,000 applications to get to one position, of course. But at some point, the human emotive connection has to be there, or you're, or I think, as the brand person, I think you're putting your brands in jeopardy by taking the human component out of it.
Sorry. No, just making an addition what they say. If you think, as I described the ninja profile, of course, we implemented in our group talent acquisition tool, AI-based. We have 6-7 months of experience, so let me say we are still at the beginning. But the main step is just to help the recruiting team in selecting the profile right or approximately right for the position. But if you have to evaluate their human performance characteristics, their attitude to work with the other, their empathy, their ability to create connection to the organization, of course, human cannot be, of course, substituted by technology.
The only additional thing that I'll say here is that, see, both parties are using AI. We are trying to test AI, to filter out the wheat. Candidates are using AI to fabricate skills which they no longer have. And I
Add
think
them onto the JD.
Exactly.
And the JD matching the
as he was
CV
saying,
exactly.
even if Shep suddenly becomes a data scientist overnight. So I think the middle ground here is that I think we have to really look at it with a slightly different lens. And the lens is that think of a recruiter's day job. He's talking to candidates, shifting through resumes, lining them up, talking to hiring managers. I think they will become more talent advisors. They will become more location experts. They will. I think with AI, you can filter out which candidates are most likely to be successful in the interview process, and you need to dedicate your time and attention and energy on them, right? I think that's where I think the big shift will happen. But to say that AI will do everything and then human-centric quality, that the tool doesn't really possess human-centric qualities. We talk to so many candidates, and we know that candidates like to interact with an actual recruiter. Think of a chatbot interacting; it can never really replicate what a human can do in terms of personalization. So I think there is a middle ground there. We can definitely test it out. What are some of the redundant items that we are doing that AI can enable, but also ensure that we pave the way for recruiters and sourcers and their line managers, so they are picking up things that matter the most, which are more value creating, which are more higher order, which are more advisory in nature. I think that's something that we are seeing a lot in our company, but I think it all depends on the leadership which is handling it, and I think it has to be driven from the top, because as leaders are, what we say is amplified in and the magnitude of that is different. So I think if that is enabled from the top, I'm sure, that problem of AI taking away our jobs and, machines doing everything, I don't think that is even a question. It's more about how we are embracing it.
We have another question there.
Hi. Thank you for an engaging conversation. Just loving the energy here. So I have two questions. One is my main question, which is, how do you think agents entering the workforce, as humans assume supervisory roles and we have agents coming into the workforce, how will that impact the hierarchy or the lack thereof, right? And the second question, which Honey started the event with, and I'm also really excited to know the answer to that from all of you. What's the exact shape we are looking at here? It's a T shape, it's a diamond, or something else entirely? Thank you.
Do you mind repeating your first question one more time?
Sure. So how do agents entering the workforce impact the pyramid?
So see, the pyramid is already impacted. As I said, I was making my point earlier. I think traditional pyramid structure is already disrupted, or if not, it will very soon be disrupted, because entry-level jobs are at biggest risk. And who is line managing entry-level people? It's the mid-tier. So if there is no bottom tier, then definitely the mid-tier is also going to, they will have to feel that impact.
So just to quickly add to that, what I meant would be that, let's say, as AI advances, assuming that decision rights get to a point that agents assume supervisory roles over some entry-level human roles.
Yeah.
So if you could throw some light on that.
I think it's also about, what type of work are you asking AI agents to do? See, as leaders, as line managers, we still do a lot of, administrative tasks. I think if there is a way in which we can explore AI to do that, and we focus more on people management and upskilling and all of that, I think that is something which is hard to imagine for AI to do, at least in the near future, right? Because the entry-level jobs, the cumbersome jobs are not only happening at entry level. All of us are doing something. For example, suddenly we have embraced Copilot, and it is responding to all our emails. It is sorting out our calendars. As leaders, we spend so much time doing it, right? So as AI agents, they will definitely take up some of the stuff which is redundant, non-value creating, and so that line managers can focus on, upskilling the workforce, paving the way for future conversations, fulfilling their career aspirations. I think that's where agents will still come in and impact the type of work that line managers are doing, but the human element still will add value in terms of doing things differently, paving the way for future workforce, and things like that. Anything else that you want?
Just we discussed a lot in the last months this kind of issue because it will impact for sure in the future. We see the middle management really the key point of this big change, because of course we think about always to the entry task, administrative task that maybe will be cancelled or fully replaced by AI agents. Middle management roles is the key point, because in the traditional organization, in this point, are very fundamental, because they are the connection link in the chain between the leadership and the workers. They spend most of their time in doing firefighting activities, task management, controlling and monitoring their works. This will disappear. But on the other side, the question is, there is still a value for middle managers in our organization? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. We think we are very confident that in redesigning the workflows that mix together an hybrid workforce, AI-based and human-based, they can play the key role. So we expect that the process redesign, the workflow redesign must be done by middle management. That means they will not focus in the future on controlling and monitoring, etc., but maybe as coaching, identified skills to be upskill or reskill, creating connection in the organization. This will be the role in the future, but we still believe there is a role for middle management, at least in our company.
I echo a lot of what you just said. I was going to say it's more of a controversial view, but maybe not. I just question what's the role of middle management. In a decentralized organization where people are empowered, what is the role of the manager? And I believe, I think our company practices that there are no aggregator roles in the company that I work for now. So if you're an aggregator and all you're doing is aggregating other people's work, what value are you actually creating for the client or your people or the organization? And so I think if those kinds of roles exist, I wouldn't replace it with an agent. I would rethink, like, what are you doing? Like, why do you need those controls in place? Like, how can you empower your people and actually trust that your people are trained enough and smart enough and whatever to make good decisions? So, I think where I agree a lot is I think, an important role of managers is actually coaching and teaching. And if managers are coaching and teaching to raise the next second generation and third generation of talent, then that's a great way to contribute value back into the organization. But just from controls and process and checking people's work, I think that already is an obsolete concept, in my opinion.
No, completely agree. And nowadays, teams are more forming around missions and not really managers. That's where we are getting. And I know I'm getting time cues over here, and I'm sure we don't want to come in between you and the next session. But I just want to
add a second part of the question. I'll come back to it offline.
We forgot about it. Yeah,
but just probably one quick rapid fire before we call it off for all of you is, what is one pyramid era leadership belief we should leave behind?
I can go first. I think leadership knows best. I think it's no more like that. Every node in the value chain brings that value and knows and has the subject matter expertise of what they have. So I think long gone are the days where we say that leadership knows everything is top down, and it's a lot of decentralized, a lot of co-creation. I think that's leadership knows best is something that I would really not go with.
I think according to me, I think about it a bit differently. I don't think it's an opportunity loss, but it's an area which we can embrace and see how we can radically redesign. I think, as I was saying earlier at the beginning of this conversation, that as leaders, our actions are amplified, and we need to act as change agents. I think technically speaking, the pyramid will not literally inverse, but leaders will play a larger role in terms of driving the right messaging in the organization. And I think we will act as change agents. Because see, everybody is worried about what it can do, and then the shifting of the pyramid and the entry-level workforce being eroded. I think it's all about how leaders message it around. How do they create an atmosphere of managing that change effectively? I think that's one thing that's going to be a very, very integral component of all of this.
One key message is this: in the past, but also now, we were used to say that the decision must be done mainly top-down and implemented by the organization. I think that this paradigm will change. The art of judgment is the most important skill for the future at all the layers, at all the levels in the organization.
You stole my point. We're like too close. Our brains are melding into one over here. Yeah, I completely agree. I think
together.
We did. We were spending all this time together. Just the whole idea of the pyramid, I think, is outdated and obsolete. And I know organizations have to catch up. I grew up in, Nestle. It's a highly hierarchical, structured company. So there's a lot of change that will have to come across organizations. But I agree 100%. Leadership no longer is for the few at the top, where decision making has to happen. Everybody in every organization is a leader if you will let them be one. And so in some sense, everybody's a leader. Organizations have to figure out how to trust and empower their people to take decisions, because the decision should be taken at the point closest to where the problems exist in an organization. So my main point is actocracy and, get rid of hierarchy.
No, on that note, thank you all for reminding us that the future of work is not about climbing, it's about evolving. Whether it's pyramid, diamond, ninja pods, or constellations, it's not the shape anymore, it's about the mindset. Let's build teams that flex, leaders that adapt, and workplaces that make room for everyone to grow. Thank you so much for...
Thank you. Thank you. I request all the panelists to stay on the stage. Honey, I request you to please give them a token of appreciation. Guys, one huge round of applause for the panelists and the amazing discussion that we don't know what's next. Maybe ninja pods, pyramids, inverter pyramids, or tea. Yeah, please. Sure. Honey, Yumi, if you could all stay on the stage and take a small token of appreciation from us. Guys, one huge round of applause. Thank you all for being such an engaging audience throughout this power-packed afternoon. As we step into this future, one thing is certain. It's not about where we work, but how we work and who we grow with. Up next, we shift gears from AI to adrenaline, and cricket legend Krishnamacharya Srikanth will be taking the stage shortly in the main hall. So I encourage all of you to make your way there, and I promise it's a session you don't want to miss. Thank you.